All right, y'all. We got a teacher confronted by cops after having sex with an 11-year-old. She is so disgusting, bro. What? Y'all see this title? Y'all know this is gonna be a crazy video. But if you want to watch this video with all my commentary, y'all see boldly right here, law and crime. Y'all can head over to their channel to watch this with all my commentary, or you can search this title up. But if you ever watch my watch me react, shout out to you. Appreciate you for tuning in. Make sure you run the likes up, sub if you're new, turn on notifications so you're notified every time I drop. But without further ado, we finna get right into it.
You know, you are going to be placed under arrest.
Me?
Mm-hmm. You're Allie, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And it's going to be for predatory criminal sexual assault.
We have the newly released body camera video of the moment a substitute teacher is arrested for having sex with an 11-year-old boy.
Taking my kids.
Allie Bardfield admitted to having sex with that boy and is now serving prison time. But she wasn't always honest in this investigation, and the body camera video proves that. I'll show you what she told detectives at her front door and how she blamed the victim in this case. We're on the case, presented by Law and Crime.
You blame an 11-year-old? Yeah, that makes so much sense.
I'm Chris Stewart. Allie Bardfield entered a guilty plea for having sex with an 11-year-old student of hers. It is a shocking story, and what's even more shocking...
It is shocking. That's sick. It's not a shock at this point that this be going on, because for some reason, women that does this type of stuff, it get brushed under the rug. A man do this, you already know, an uproar is over with for you. So, it's not shocking at this point, because shit been going on. It's still, but it's definitely sickening on both sides. If a male did this to a little ass girl, or a grown woman doing this to a little ass boy, same shit. Both sick.
Is how she tried to play it when detectives arrived at her front door. Before I get to that body camera video, here is Bardfield in court in Macon County, Illinois, where all of this took place, about 3 hours south of Chicago. This is the hearing where Bardfield admitted to abusing her student who is just 11 years old. But Bardfield wasn't always truthful to law enforcement in this investigation. This is the body camera video of the day that she was arrested in April of last year. Now, part of the audio is redacted, which is why you'll hear it drop out at times.
Okay.
6:38.
We can't answer the door right now, but if you'd like to leave a message, do it now.
You got a voicemail on the Ring camera? I ain't never seen that before.
Hey, how are you? Hey, is Allie home? Yeah. Okay.
Oh, is that her husband or boyfriend? Oh my God.
Sheriff's Office, and I'm assisting the Mount Police Department. How many kids are home?
Three.
Three kids. Okay, just you guys and the kids. Okay.
And someone else.
Yeah, it's my brother. My brother.
Okay.
Okay. So here's the thing. We have a search warrant for the house. Okay. You are going to be placed under arrest.
Me?
Mm-hmm. You're Allie, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And it's going to be for predatory criminal sexual assault to grooming. Okay,
What up,
so
Cass?
that's why we're here, to take a look, to make sure we gather what we need out of the house. Okay.
For what?
Yeah, so I'll talk to you more about it here in a second, okay? As a matter of fact, if you guys want to go in and start doing that...
Can I put the dogs up?
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
please.
We're going to have to follow you in, though, just to make sure, okay? You have your phone?
One's a German Shepherd, so...
Okay. James, you want to stay here with me?
So you can see Bardfield acting confused and shocked as to why detectives are at her door accusing her of sexual abuse and grooming. This is going on around 4:30 in the afternoon on April 3rd, 2024. The day prior, detectives say an 11-year-old came to the police station with his parents saying Bardfield, his 6th grade teacher, sexually assaulted him. Bardfield worked in the Decatur, Illinois school system. She was considered a long-term substitute teacher for the 6th grade class. She gave off the fun teacher vibe.
That she has 3 kids of her own, and you will go out and do, man. Yeah, y'all need to investigate the house, bro, because ain't no telling. I hate to say that she be involved with, doing that to her own, but I'm glad they did an investigation, because there's no way you have 3 kids of your own and you out here doing that with it. Yeah, that's wild. My day was good. How was your day?
On social media, here she is on TikTok with a young girl. Now, hours before her arrest, police say the 11-year-old boy did an interview with a specialist to talk about the abuse. Deputies also collected a sexual assault kit from the victim. Now, here's more of what the detective told Bardfield at her front door when she was arrested.
I'm going to explain some things to you, okay? First off, I have to read your rights, okay, so that I can talk to you, okay? You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say or do will be used against you.
No, for real.
Right to an attorney.
I don't see how anybody can be like that.
Appointed to represent you free of any cost to you. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever been in trouble before?
Never.
Okay. I'm going to give you an opportunity to explain, but long story short is, okay, we've got a significant amount of evidence to include the conversation that you had with.
According to the court documents we have, at her front door, Bardfield denied having sex with the boy. The audio is redacted at that point, but you heard the detective say they had a considerable amount of evidence, including a conversation that Bardfield had. Now, he's likely talking about the conversation Bardfield had with the boy earlier that day, just hours before all of this happened, after his forensic interview. Police say that they and the boy's parents were listening in on a text, a voice call, and a FaceTime that Bardfield had with the young boy. They say during those conversations, Bardfield talked about birth control and pregnancy. She also told the boy to delete text messages, and then they moved on to a phone call. And during that call...
There ain't no way, boy. Ain't no way, man. This a grown woman, y'all. Mind you, this a grown woman with 3 kids of her own. And I think that's her boyfriend or her husband that, that's also in the picture. And she chose to step out her marriage or the relationship she in with a little kid. Yeah. Get her out of here, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Hey, forget a little 10 years, whatever she gonna get, 5, 10, she might be eligible for parole or whatever. No, forget that. Lock her up. Like homie said, I talked to Trey Taylor, bro. Talked to Trey Taylor. He said lock him up. Straight up.
Bardfield told the boy that she could not get pregnant. She is talking with an 11-year-old. She is in her 30s. Now, police say on March 29th, 2024, Bardfield had that 6th grade student, her victim, over to her house.
30.
It was for a play date. That child's mom noticed her son acting differently after the visit, though. According to police, the mom then checked her son's phone and social media, and when they talked more about what happened, the boy said that Bardfield had sex with him. Not only did Bardfield reportedly have sex with that boy, she also sent him $700 on CASHAPP. She bought him headphones that go for more than $400. She also sent nude photos to him on Snapchat. Here's the moment Bardfield is led away after this story gets even more shocking.
I'm
Are
going to
you
talk to her real
taking my
quick. And
kids?
she'll be able to talk to you. No, I'll talk to you here about that. So that lady up there is...
Oh my God.
Listen, no, but listen. If you see that, it doesn't mean she's taking your kids. Okay?
Make a 95 show us.
They need to. They need to. Straight up. They need to take your kids. You out here doing that with a kid anyway. I feel like you don't need to be around no kids at all, even your own. That's my honest opinion on that, but
Secure out here.
We are going to give you, how you raise your kids and what goes on.
Oh my God, I thought you're my life.
I'm going to hurry up, sit in the back, because I want to be out of the wind and air. And I'm going to have you have a seat in this second vehicle here.
Showing registered 56.5, 10,300. OP revoked.
Which seat?
this up right up here.
Just of the he has observed to him.
You good, buddy?
Yep.
So here's the thing, okay? You work at Hope.
Bardfield then gets into a police vehicle to talk to detectives. The audio is redacted, but according to court documents that we have, this is what she said. At first, she once again denied having sex with the boy, but then the detective said he had seen the nude pictures that she sent the boy on Snapchat. And when asked why she would send nude photographs, a teacher in her 30s to a boy just 11 years old, she said, quote, "He kept asking and asking and asking and wouldn't leave me alone."
Even if he is 11 years old. You can't be like, ew, that is disgusting. Whatever his name is. You better stop talking like that before I tell your mother. Boom. Or, shit, you finna get suspended. I don't know. Why would you let a 11-year-old peer pressure you into... That just sounds crazy. That sounds crazy to me. You let an 11-year-old peer pressure you into sending him. Yeah, she capped, bro. She capped.
The document also states that the victim had sent the teacher explicit pictures. Well, if you ever notice how some habits just sneak into your day without you even realizing it, for a lot of people, that means reaching for something on autopilot because you're stressed or run down, even though you know it's not good for you, which is great.
I knew it was
people using the link. See her put her head in her. That police are laying out the evidence they have against her, and you can see her put her head in her hands as she realizes what her fate is likely going to be. It is notable that Bardfield tried multiple times to say that the boy made advances on her, that all of this was the 11-year-old's fault. At the end of this part of the conversation, Bardfield, according to court documents, was asked about how she was feeling. And she replies, quote, "I have my criminal justice degree. I'm in my master's program. This isn't how I want my life to be, but I didn't want the victim to feel uncomfortable as I felt uncomfortable. But I was just trying to act like nothing happened and just be there for him." At the end of the conversation in the cruiser, police say that Bardfield threatened to take her own life. She was then handcuffed and taken to the county jail. And from that moment on, Bardfield was held without bond. Per WAND-TV, here's the moment the judge at her first court appearance told her what the punishment could be for the charges that she faced.
It's a Class X felony, punishable by 6 to 60 years in the Department of Corrections.
She gotta get them 60,
That
bro.
will be served at 85%, followed by a
60
mandatory
to 60
supervised
years.
release of 3 years up to natural life, and up to a $25,000 fine. It is not a probation-eligible offense, and if convicted, you would have to register as a sex offender for the rest of your natural life.
Then in August of this year, Bardfield pleaded guilty to having sex with that boy. The state is now asking for a max 40 years in prison in this plea deal, opposed to the 60 years that she...
This is private property. Hit the road, dude.
could have faced if found 40 years in prison in this plea deal, opposed to the 60 years that she could have faced if found guilty at trial. As far as the Decatur Public School District, where Bardfield worked, I reached out for comment in the wake of her guilty plea. They told me since they weren't a party in that criminal case, they wouldn't comment. They did fire Bardfield after her arrest. The victim and his family, though, are suing the school district, and they claim what happened was not an isolated incident. I spoke to a Sim Cunningham, who's representing the family, and this is what he said about his lawsuit.
What they really, really want to take place, though, is that other kids and other families who may have been a victim of this woman's acts to feel confident that if they come forward,
other kids. Yo, hell
that
no.
we can, hold the school district accountable for the lack of supervision that resulted in Ms. Bardfield being able to commit these acts.
And does the family believe that there are more victims of Allie Bardfield?
I can't speak for the family directly. There has been information that has come to light, some of which has been put into the complaint against the school district that leads us to believe that there may be more victims of Miss Bardfield, and there are likely more victims of abuse and harassment by faculty in the Decatur public school system against students.
When Bardfield was arrested, she said, according to court documents, that no other people would be coming forward saying that she sexually abused them. It's important to remember when she was confronted with these allegations, it wasn't until detectives laid out their evidence that she admitted what she was saying originally was a lie. She'll be sentenced on September 25th. Joining us now to talk about this is prosecutor and former Deputy Attorney General of Ohio, Mark Weaver. Thank you as always for being with us on Law and Crime. If you were a prosecutor on this case and you watched that body cam video of Allie Bardfield, what would stand out to you?
Well, it's very good body cam footage. We can see exactly what happened. The sheriff's deputies were extremely professional in the way they executed the search warrant. She gave it up pretty quickly. She told the truth pretty quickly. Initially, she denied having.
Hey, bro. This man said she gave it up pretty quickly. Hey, she gave up her job as a substitute teacher. She gave up her job as ain't a job, but her being a mother to her 3 kids, she gave all that up real easy, just for a child. Make it make sense.
Having sex with this child, but pretty soon when they let her know that they had recorded calls, they had text messages. There's a great case here. I wish all of the sex cases that I prosecute had as much evidence as this one. This is a pretty airtight case.
Because when you look at, she'll be sentenced later this month, and in the beginning, and we watch it now in hindsight, knowing the evidence that prosecutors and detectives had in this case, and there was a lot. And she initially is like, well, I've never been in trouble. Like my house, me, and then she, after that, seems to almost blame the victim a bit, saying that he was the one who wanted explicit messages, which, like, we're talking about an 11-year-old. It's so hard to wrap your mind around. How could those statements made back in 2024 impact how a judge goes forward with whether accepting this plea deal and giving her the maximum, which I believe the state is asking for 40 years?
Yeah, the top end is 40 years. It could have been 60 years, depending on whether some of these counts would have merged and how many different sexual encounters there were. A jury would have hated her when they found out that she essentially claimed that this child, this 11-year-old little boy, a 6th grader, was somehow the instigator. A judge won't like that either. I'm going to guess that her defense lawyer is going to coach her up ahead of the sentencing, have her come in there and reel back in any notion that this was the child's fault. But this is what we see with some of these sex predators. They don't see that what they're doing is wrong. They're just acting out their fantasies. They're being the person they want to be. And mind you, she's got a degree in criminal justice and is working on a master's degree. So the notion that she doesn't know somehow that this is illegal is preposterous.
Yeah, that's wild.
It really is. And preposterous is a good word, because just reading through the court documents and the affidavit, and you see some of the statements she's making, and you're just like, what planet are you living on? And frankly, just hearing it, like, and even the line where she talked about having a criminal justice degree, and she's like, I just wanted to make him feel comfortable, or something on those lines. And you're like, what is, just as far as not from the legal standpoint, you're like, what are you talking about? When it comes to that hearing, and if she does give this emotional, statement in front of the court, how could that impact what the judge decides? Because often, I see those hearings and the judge, it looks like he looks over something for maybe a couple minutes and then makes his decision. Is there what impact could a statement from her, even if it's really good, have on what her sentence could be?
I've been in front of a lot of judges sentencing a lot of sex offenders over the years. And these judges typically come into the sentencing hearing with their mind made up. They have written out the words they have to say in order to make sure that the sentence sticks. And occasionally something a victim says or something the defendant says, you'll see the judge adjust it, reach over with a pen and maybe scratch something out or maybe fill in a blank. But most judges are ready with an idea of what they want to do before they even set foot, and then only in these marginal cases do they change it. Judges are also really good at seeing through sort of courtroom conversions, right? When you read what she said she admitted to, and when you watch the footage of the warrant call the police did, that's when you see the real person. The person in court has been
real should be on here later on.
Properly dressed and properly coached and is reading from a script. good judges know that the way the defendant appears in court is often a put on.
So she'll end up, 20 years off of what she could have received as the max if she was found guilty if she took this to trial. I mean, just reading through the court documents of all the evidence, I mean, just even extending explicit pictures, which police have, to an 11-year-old boy, why make a deal when it seems like you would have had her dead to rights if you were a prosecutor?
In nearly every case where a prosecutor pleads a child sex case out, it's two basic reasons. One is certainty of conviction, which I think would have been present here anyway, but more importantly, not making an 11, he's probably 12-year-old boy soon, sit in a witness stand in front of a bunch of strangers and say what happened in the most embarrassing thing in his life. You're always trying to protect the child from re-victimization. And that's a key thing. This woman is not going to get 40 years. And I'm not suggesting what she did was good. I've prosecuted all sorts of people who molested children all the way down to as young as 2 years old. And given this circumstance, the judge will not send her for 40. She will get 10 or 15. I don't know the judge. But that would be more typical for a one victim child sex offender like this woman.
Even if it's one where because I'm sure for people, I mean, that's what it's been reported, that it was like a max of 40 years, and then if a judge goes down to 10, I mean, what impact could the fact that she was a teacher, she's given this position of power to, and anybody who is an adult who's accused of these crimes or convicted of these crimes, I mean, they had a position of power over a child, but I mean, she was an educator, she did it. How does that factor into how some of these cases play out in terms of the sentencing?
Yeah, Chris, I want to be clear. I'm certainly hoping she gets a longer sentence. I've just observed enough of these over the years, and the judges have as well. I prosecuted a child sex offender a year or two ago who had sex with his girlfriend's young daughter every day over several months, 7 days a week over several months. And he got 32 years, 34 years. I'm just comparing that there are degrees of sex offenders out there, but your point is well taken. Somebody who has sex with an 11-year-old should go to prison, and a teacher who has sex with an 11-year-old should go to prison for even longer. She has a special responsibility to not victimize these children who the parents placed in her care.
Right, and that's the part of it too, where it just seems like it's this facade almost. She's a teacher, and then there was this play date because she had children in her house. It's so hard to comprehend, especially when it's a teacher or someone like that. And I had great teachers. I mean, I think we all have. But then there's just so many of these cases that come up. In your career, what have you seen as far as trying to understand why some of these people will cross a line and frankly blast?
That man got a lot of hate.
Right past through a line where they're a teacher and then suddenly they're in a situation like Allie Bardfield is.
Part of it is technology. Evil has always been with us since the fall of mankind. So evil's always been around, but the technology allows that evil to permeate in a way it didn't 50 years ago. So when I was a kid, or when you were a kid, a big moment would be running into your teacher at the grocery store. Like that would be the contact you have. You'd see the teacher in school, and then once in a while you'd see him out in the real world. Now with Snapchat, which she said she was using, and all these other social media devices, and parents who give young children phones and let them take them into the room and close the door, there is a pathway for this evil to take its path towards molesting a child. And then all you have to do is come up with a reason. Let's have a play date, or I'm going to go drive this child somewhere, or I'm going to invite them over. So technology doesn't cause it, but technology allows it to happen in a way that wasn't true 50 years ago.
Nope.
Because it stood out to me too in the court documents that we have, where she said that she put her phone number up on the wall at school for the 6th graders. And that felt like something of crossing a line, where it's like I could see her giving her phone number to parents, but then giving all these 11-year-olds your phone number, and then she's on Snapchat and on TikTok.
This could be weird too, but most teachers will leave an email address where you can, still email the teacher. Like, not a phone number though.
TikTok and on all these different apps, that seemed like it was, for a teacher, that was a major crossing of the line. And there's a civil lawsuit that's playing out right now from the victim's family to the school district. But from a criminal aspect, if, say, a civil suit finds that certain things were not done by the school, they haven't had comment on either the civil or criminal case. But what type of investigation is typically done of a school district after a teacher like this is found guilty to make sure that there isn't some systemic issue within that school district where this could happen more?
Two primary ways of holding schools accountable. Number one is through the civil lawsuit process, where they're going to have to pay money for if they were found to be negligent. And number two is the regulatory process. Whatever Illinois does to regulate schools like this, that ability to take away their school license exists. Rarely is anybody at a school charged criminally for an act that they did not know about. If this school had policies saying don't do this, if it had training, and now there's some indication she might not have taken the training, but if they had training saying don't do this, that is typically enough to keep a school from being criminally charged. As a prosecutor, I'm not interested in what the school did unless one of those administrators knew and then didn't tell law enforcement. Then I'm very interested in talking to that person and potentially charging that person.
And in your career, when you've had to prosecute sex cases like this with sexual predators, because I think in our mind, when we think of a sexual predator, there's probably a stereotype that comes in of a man mostly doing it. But then in some of these cases with teachers, you see, in her case, she's in her 30s. She's a young woman who's teaching in school. I mean, have you seen a profile? How does the profile vary of the predators in these cases, maybe beyond the stereotype that has been out there for a long time of when someone thinks of what a sexual predator actually looks like?
Yeah, there's not a profile that's going to help parents at all, but you are right that there are instances of we call them good guy predators, people who are otherwise nice and kind to your children, people who were involved in your child's life in a positive way on the one side, maybe showing up at their games and cheering them on or whatever, or giving them a high five when they get a good grade on the way out of the classroom. But on the other side, they're taking advantage and victimizing the child. And so parents just need to protect their children. And that means knowing what they're doing and enforcing this is one of my rules. No adult can be talking to my child without me knowing that topic of conversation.
Exactly.
And so this notion that, hey kids, here's my phone number, call me directly,
Hell no.
That's inappropriate.
And what is it like for you, and I mean, you having prosecuted one of these cases recently, I think of a plea hearing day where, as a prosecutor, a lot of the work, it feels like it's been done. You were able to get a conviction. She's pleading guilty. She's going to go to jail for years. But what is it emotionally like for you waiting to hear what a judge is going to say as far as what that sentence is going to be?
Every time this has happened to me, I really feel for the victims. I meet with them before the hearing and almost always after the hearing. My heart goes out to them. So many people say to me, Mark, how can you prosecute these cases? They're so difficult. They're so tragic. It's because of the victims. It's because someone needs to stand up for them. And so on the day of sentencing, when I know I've already done my job, I might have already prepared my remarks. In some cases, I might be reading the victim statement, or the victim might be reading the victim statement. So I'm certainly interested in what the judge is going to do, but I'm most interested in the victims being comfortable in the courtroom, having their day to say what they want to say, and then getting some small amount of closure.
Knowing that they did have the digital evidence of the conversation she had, the statements that she was even making, I mean, she admitted to it to law enforcement eventually, and then you have the nude photographs that were sent through Snapchat. Had this gone to trial, do you need to have the 11-year-old testify, or would there have been a way to get the conviction without having to put the boy on the stand?
Her admission makes a big difference, right? Because if she had not admitted it and said that they had sex, it would be much harder to prove. You would need him. Here's my problem, though. I have seen juries go sideways for the dumbest things, right? And so they only need one juror. The defense only needs one juror to say not guilty, and the case hangs, and we start all the way over back at square one. And so I worry that one juror sits back there and says, how come we never heard from the kid? Where was that kid? And there's a way to explain it, when you have your victim's advocate on the stand or your investigating officer, you ask them, what's the protocol so you don't re-victimize children? But jurors may want to see that. But I think the larger concern here is that a judge is probably not going to give her 40 years. So the notion of pleading it and then taking off 60 down to 40, she's not going to get 40 years. It kept it well within the range of what the prosecutor would like to get anyway.
And then just lastly, Mark, because we do cover a lot of these stories with teachers who are accused and in cases convicted of sexual misconduct with children. And it would be easy to look at the media reports and say it's just happening more. Is this something that you feel like you're seeing more of, or is it just a case we're learning about it more?
A little bit of
in your
both.
face more. That's how I see it. Because I'm like, on cap. It's the social media, the internet. It's just in your face more. Because it's like, we be like, man, the murder rate crazy. And blah, 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 blah. Whole time, that was already going on before the internet. It's just now, the internet, you going to see a lot of it. You actually going to see a lot of these, like, a lot of this stuff happen, like, in real time. Like, I could get on freaking Twitter and see somebody getting popped. Just literally scrolling there, you going to see somebody getting their life taken. Or, you know, attempts on people's lives and stuff like that. So it's just in your face now. So it seems like it's happening a lot.
We are seeing more of it because
Like, the only time
technology,
you
as I
probably would've
mentioned
seen
before, allows
somebody
to.
getting smoked when I was coming up was what it's probably on the news. That'd be it. You're not gonna actually see footage of this person getting, you know, they life taken or nothing like that. But now that's how it is.
Teachers and students to privately talk to one another in what they think is a non-monitored setting.
Yeah, bro, I add you in the
And
next.
then the other one
after
is
I'm doing this video.
it probably is happening a little bit more just because the mores of society is do what feels good and whatever makes you feel good. Love is love no matter what. That attitude, when taken to its extreme, brings us to situations like this. I'm sure she didn't think she was perpetrating an act of violence. I'm sure she thought it was a very loving encounter. It wasn't. It was molestation. But in her mind, I'm sure she thought she was doing something that was perfectly okay. Notwithstanding the fact that she has a degree in criminal justice and the law says it's illegal.
And we had covered this story before. I had not read the part yet that she had a degree in criminal justice, which made this even more hard to make it more shocking than it already was. But that's definitely part of it. Mark Weaver, it's always great to have you on Law and Crime. Thanks for helping break this down for us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris.
All right, y'all. That's the end of that. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this in the comment section below. Like, do you think? I think she should get to 40 years, but like he was saying, it makes sense how they gonna go about it. She probably do about 10 to 15, which I was assuming from the beginning anyway. But I was like, they need to do more than that because I feel like that's an 11-year-old child. You're 30 years old. They shouldn't be lenient. Because look, she get 10 years, bro. She out at 40. Of course, she got to register as, you know, and she going to be on that shit for the rest of her life, luckily. But what's stopping her from doing that again? Like, I feel like it got to be some years, decades, that she sit down. So then this be something she really sit back and think of, like, yeah, I had no business doing that with no, you know. And then you're going to get looked at as a weirdo for the rest of your life anyway. Like, just, that shit crazy, man. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this in the comment section below.